Hello. Hello, hello.
Hello, 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 hello. Hello, 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 hello.
Namaste, namaste. Cool.
Namaste, namaste.
How was your weekend, Akshay?
It's still in progress, dude. Don't do this to me. I still have half a Sunday left. Weekend was nice, dude. I went for a nice
Hmm.
drive just now.
Nice, nice. Good, good.
Mm.
So, what I want. Hey, are we wearing the same T-shirt from the same company?
Bro!
Bro, I didn't realize.
Yeah, apparently we are.
I was looking at that design, like that logo, and I was like, where have I seen this before?
Yeah.
Then I was like,
I have no Max.
mm,
Is it Max? I don't know, dude.
yeah, I don't remember from where. Cool.
Sponsor
So,
us.
so what I wanted to talk to you today about is why is Hero Honda Splendor so bulletproof?
Hmm.
Because you know that I have a Splendor which is as old as my younger brother,
Yeah.
around like 14 years, 14 and a half years,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
gonna
still running.
outlast us.
Yes.
Yeah.
So dad is very fond of that bike, right?
Hmm.
So he still hasn't made up his mind about giving up that bike. And recently there have been certain traffic rules that's been changed where you cannot use a bike that's over 10 years old or something like that, right?
There is
So these are some regulations that are coming in. Yeah, yeah, soon.
15 years, no? I think. Or 10.
I heard it as 10.
I
Not
have
sure.
no clue, dude. I'm so out of date.
Or probably after 10 years they're supposed to go through a checkup. The entire
Yeah,
thing has
yeah.
to go through a checkup.
That is true. Hmm.
Yeah. So I want to understand, why is Hero Honda Splendor so
Hmm.
bulletproof,
Yeah.
and how is it different from Hero Splendor? Because clearly Hero and Honda had a partnership and they
Yeah.
built this, uh, you know, the pinnacle of engineering where Splendor can run like 40, 50 kilometers per liter. And back then they had an ad campaign which said, uh, Bharo or Bhul Jao. Basically meant
Yeah.
you fill up that fuel and like forget about it.
True, true.
Okay.
Hmm.
If I think we can play that video in this
Hmm.
place. We'll try to do that, or maybe we'll link the video in the
Hmm.
description. Um, so, how did it become so famous? Do you have any clue on like that partnership? How did that form? And right now, why is Hero struggling to sell better bikes?
Hmm. Okay. So, fine. I'll just quickly run down a few things that came to my head when you brought this up, right? So, first of all, Splendor, as we all know, is the most bulletproof thing, probably more than a bulletproof vest, right? That's nothing's going to happen to nothing ever going to happen to a Splendor. It's going to run on full tank of oil. I'm talking about oil, not petrol. Half tank of oil, no oil. It's just always running. So I have to. There's no proof about any of the things I'm going to say, but I have a few theories. So first of all, how old is the bike? 20 years old at this point? 19, 20 years old at this point, right?
Yeah, since
At
it's
least
launched,
at least
yeah,
the first
2020.
generation. So what
Hmm.
India needed back then was like an easy to run, easy to buy, easy to maintain, easy to fix commuter, right?
Hmm.
And power was not what anyone was looking for. Nobody was, right? And so now the recipe here was very simple. Make the most practical bike for the least amount of money that you can charge with a decent profit, and it has to be really really reliable, because that's what India needed at that point, because we didn't have roads. I mean, we had roads, but like only in TV commercials. Everywhere else there were no roads. So we needed something which was very very reliable. And my second theory here, I mean, yeah, and then they partnered with Honda, right? And as we know, Honda makes probably some of the best petrol engines in the world, at least the most reliable ones, right? We've seen 30, 40-year old Honda cars just run. Nothing happens to them. And so that was the first good step done by Hero, that they partner with Honda. But my second theory is that over the years, because they've made the Splendor a brand of its own, they've sold so many bikes that now they know exactly what works and what doesn't in that bike. And if you and if any company sells as many bikes as of a particular model, which is just the Splendor, as Hero Honda does, then any company's bikes can be the most bulletproof bikes in the world. It's just that because Hero Honda sold the most amount of bikes, they know exactly how long a part lasts and how which part to improve on to make it last longer, and what works, what doesn't, because they've got so many bikes on the road, and they've got a lot of public response. So yeah, I think it's the volume of bikes that they sold initially is what helped them out to make this whole bulletproof reliability wala plan. But I think they did a really good job. Yeah, and the problem, what I found was that whatever that bike stood for and why the only reason it performed so well is because of Honda's engineering, and I'm not even gonna credit Hero here at any point, right? Because you saw the sudden decline in the 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 mountain of quality rise of the bike, right? The bike kept increasing in quality, and then the company split, and then the bike plateaued. So a
Yeah,
Splendor now is the same as the Splendor when Hero Honda split. But when they were together, every year Splendor had something improving, reliability improving, everything improving. So
right.
yeah, and this is I'm just vouching for Honda's engineering here because they engineer some of the best vehicles in the world. They might not be the most well built vehicles, at least in terms of physical perspective, but they'll outlast anything, and they've proven it with almost every vehicle they've put out. And yeah, now just he was just minting money on the brand that they created with Honda, basically. So
Right.
yeah,
So you were talking about how uh, the Splendor can run virtually on anything,
yeah,
basically even a tablespoon of oil.
yeah.
So I remember my own position where 3 years back, Dad gave me the bike and he just let me ride it to college, right? And what do you expect from a college kid to it? Like, if he doesn't know much about automotive, he's not going to change the oil regularly. He's not going to worry about the brake pads being like you have to change the brake pads after so many kilometers. I didn't know any of that. I was like, Dad has given me the bike. I'm just riding it to college and coming back. That's it. And I was not too crazy about automotive. Automotive. I didn't want to go on bike rides or something. So Splendor was decent for me. Uh, my needs were being completed by the Splendor. Right
Yeah,
now, a year after riding the bike, suddenly the engine seizes.
right.
Okay. So what had happened was one day before that, I had gone towards Electronic City uh, for a Mahindra e-rickshaw launch with Chirag,
Yeah, I was there with you.
right? You know that event, huh? Huh. So you came with us, right? So while coming back, what I did was I hit almost 70 kmph on that bike, a bike which was 13-year-old at that point
Yeah.
on that highway, and I could see on the mirror that there was a white smog coming out of the silencer. And I thought it was normal because that day it was kind of chilly. So I thought it was probably the air that is condensed through the silencer and doing some weird shit. So once I got down from that overhead flyover,
Yeah,
and when I reached home, the engine sounded very bad, like it's gonna fall
of
apart.
course.
And I still thought maybe because too much of heat, maybe the parts are being loose. By morning it'll be fine. So next day I wake up, I take the bike, and I was told to go towards Indranagar. I go to Indranagar, nothing happens.
Yeah,
While coming back towards the goal field office, there I got stuck.
yeah.
Uh, and then I had to call up all my friends, ask them to tow my bike, and it was getting pretty dark. It's already 8 p.m. There's a lot of traffic. Uh, so I leave it at my friend's place. I go to the mechanic. The mechanic says, "Bhai sahab, this engine is gone. Like engine
Yeah.
is seized. You can't do anything about it." At that point, I had already filled 2 liters extra, thinking that it was the petrol's fault. Okay, it was not the petrol fault. It's just engine just decided, "Ho gaya, mera
Yeah.
life." Okay.
That was for a
So I
particular
asked him,
reason.
"How can we?" Yeah, and this guy, he told me that the engine seized without opening the caps, right? The side engine cap. He told me engine is seized. You come after 2 3 days, it'll be fixed. Okay. Dad came. Dad paid around 7 grand after making the transaction, right? The guy was like, "See, next time when you're riding so much, no, just remember to change the oil."
Yeah.
And dad looks at him and he was a little surprised. He's like, "What do you mean? Like, why did you stress on oil?" And then the guy says, "Sir, that day when I opened the lid, there was like 1 tablespoon of oil in that engine. Entire engine, he found only 1 tablespoon of oil."
Yeah. Happens to a
So
lot of people.
yeah, we paid 7 grand, and dad told me, "Dude, this is the most I've spent on this bike ever."
Yeah.
And like the second highest amount he has ever paid for servicing the bike was 700 rupees,
Yeah.
800 rupees max. And every time whatever he spent, no, most of them went on brake pads. That's it, nothing else.
True.
So yeah, I think their servicing was so good, low cost. They had too
Yeah.
many spare parts available. The way they spoke to the customers and made them understand what the problems were about the bike and how to get it serviced, when exactly to come back for the next service, was actually good, right? And we've been through horrible crashes also in that bike. I've been in a horrible one, near death. Dad has been in 3 different crashes, and among that, one of them, all 4 of us were on the bike, and we fell right
Classic
in front
Indian
of
way.
Forum. Ah, right in front of Forum. So we're in traffic, right? And the car behind us, he lost control. Like he slammed on the accelerator instead of the brakes, and he touched our bike. We fell, and like bike fell pretty hard. The headlights were gone, the side indicators were gone, but engine is working absolutely fine. And
Yeah.
then another time, dad falls off in Pina Highway. He falls off, and then dad comes home. He's like, "Nothing happened to the bike." They're like,
Yeah.
"You're worried about the bike. What about you?" Right? So it has a certain reputation.
Yeah.
And I was actually very embarrassed to ride Splendor to college. At least the first 1 week, I was like, my friends are all coming in like good 150cc, but here I am.
Terrible
But
investments.
the thing was, yeah, but the thing was, they were more impressed that I was coming in a Splendor. They're like, "Dude, can I get a ride on the Splendor?" And I was like, "Whoa,
I always
oh,
rode your
okay."
Splendor, dude. Every single time
Yeah,
we met up, I always rode the Splendor. Because, yeah, you
yeah,
want to be riding a bike because at least for an outsider like me, I always want to ride a vehicle which I don't know if the brakes are going to work. I don't know how fast it goes. I don't know what the tires are like, but I want to ride it. And
right.
whoa, background hero. But yeah, your bikes never
Hmm.
let me down, and I've probably done the top speed on your bike, dude. I've probably gone faster than you
Hmm.
ever have. So I just wanted to make one more practical example of why the Hero Honda lasts as long as it does is because when you've got a small engine, as small as the Hero Hondas, uh, we're not talking about power or anything here, right? We're talking about the only reason automotives get screwed up at any point in their life is because of heat, right? Heat and wear and tear, but wear and tear increases when the heat increases. So when you've got a small engine like that and you've engineered it well, bro, there's too much noise, bro. We'll record later, it's fine. There were too many bloopers in this.
Uh,
Hmm.
Entire day, everything flopped.